She tore up the pregnancy test and vanished after signing the divorce papers. But 5 years later he saw 3 children, with his eyes, and her smile. What happened next will break your heart, and heal it too. Before we begin this story, make sure to subscribe and turn on the bell icon so you never miss our powerful, life-changing content. If you enjoy meaningful stories that touch the heart, like and share this channel with others. This is more than just entertainment. Every story we tell carries a powerful moral lesson. In tears, she signed the divorce papers, tore up the pregnancy test, and left. 5 years later. I was not born into wealth. I was born into silence. Silence in a one-bedroom shack where rain leaked through rusted holes in the tin roof. And dreams vanished faster than food on our dinner table. My father left when I was 6. My mother worked herself into the ground, cleaning houses for the rich, while I sold cold lemonade on cracked sidewalks to keep the lights on. I hated being poor. I hated the pity, the smell of rotting ambition, the weight of watching my mother pretend she was not breaking. I swore I would never live like that. By 19, I had started my first business. A cheap, glitchy app that nobody wanted. It failed. And so did the next one. And the one after that. I lost everything I barely had. Investors laughed behind closed doors. Landlords slammed doors in my face. Friends vanished. But she stayed. Her name was Lena. Lena. With eyes like storm clouds and a voice that could calm wars. She worked nights at a hospital, then stayed up coding with me during the day. She believed in me when I no longer did. We married in a courthouse. No ring. No cake. Just a promise whispered through trembling lips. We rise or we fall together. 3 years later, we rose. My new platform exploded. Tech giants offered buyouts. Venture capitalists fought for a piece of it. We became billionaires in a world that once refused to lend us $10. We had it all. Or so I thought. Because in building my empire, I destroyed the foundation. I stopped coming home. Stopped noticing the dark circles under her eyes. The dinner's gone cold. The baby shoes she left on the kitchen table. One night, she waited in the living room, her hands shaking, a white envelope in one, a torn pregnancy test in the other. I am tired of being invisible, she said. I begged you to come home. I begged you to see me. And I said nothing. I let her walk away, pregnant, shattered, alone. She signed the divorce papers in tears, tore up the test, and disappeared. The world called me a genius. Forbes called me unstoppable. But at night, in silence, I was a ghost haunted by the sound of her crying. 5 years passed. I tried to move on, dated models, partied in Monaco, closed billion-dollar deals in Dubai. But nothing silenced the ache. Until one rainy afternoon, my car broke down outside a small private school. I sat on a bench, soaked, angry, dialing my assistant. When I heard laughter, 3 children chased each other past the iron gate. A little boy with my eyes. A little girl, with Lena's dimples. And a third child, clutching a drawing that said Mom and Dad. My heart stopped. Then I saw her. Lena. Older. Wiser. Still beautiful in a way that hurt. She was holding an umbrella, smiling down at them. But when her gaze met mine, her smile disappeared. She turned to leave. She turned to leave. But her hand trembled. She did not run. She did not scream. She simply stood still, as though bracing herself for a storm that had already drowned her once before. My legs moved before my mind caught up. I crossed the street, every step a battle between guilt and longing. Lena. Her name cracked from my throat like a language I had forgotten how to speak. She looked at me, not with hate, but with a quiet strength I had never seen before, as if she had already mourned me long ago. "You should not be here," she said softly. Her voice had changed. Less music, more steel. A woman who had carried too much alone. The children ran toward her, clutching her legs, asking who I was. One boy stared at me curiously. My mirror, 5 years younger. "Mommy." His voice was small, hopeful. She knelt beside him and whispered, "He is just someone from the past." Her words shattered something inside me, but I had no right to ask for anything. I had signed that right away, the moment I let her walk out of our home, with pieces of our future in her heart. "I did not know," I said. "I did not know about them." "You did not ask." She looked up, eyes sharp. "You never looked back." A gust of wind tore through the street, and for a second, it felt like time itself was punishing me, showing me all that I had missed. "I was wrong," I whispered. "I thought success would fix everything, but it broke everything that mattered." Lena looked at the children, then at me. "They are not a second chance," she said. "They are my only chance. Do not come here thinking you can rewrite history with regret." "I do not want to rewrite it," I said. "I want to take responsibility for it." Her eyes softened, just barely. I knelt. Tears fell without warning. "I want to know them, Lena. Even if I can never have you back. Even if I am just a shadow in their lives." For a long moment, she said nothing, just watched me, on my knees in the rain, a billionaire stripped of pride. Finally, she reached into her bag and pulled out a small envelope. It was old, creased, faded. She handed it to me. "I was going to mail this once," she said, "but I thought you would not care." I opened it. Inside was a photo. Lena holding 3 newborns. And on the back, in her handwriting, "They will know who their father is, even if he never wants to know them." My chest collapsed inward. I wanted to speak, but my voice betrayed me. She gathered the children, looked at me one last time, and said, She gathered the children, looked at me one last time, and said, "Do not break what they have barely begun to build." Then she walked away, her footsteps steady, dignified, like a woman who had learned to carry storms in silence. The children glanced back, curious, but obedient, and then they were gone, swallowed by the school gate. I stood in the rain, clutching that photograph like it was oxygen, my hands trembling, my soul unraveling. That night, I sat alone in my penthouse. The city lights flickered below, but inside me, only darkness. I stared at the photo until my eyes ached. I whispered apologies into the silence, to children who had never heard my voice, to a woman who had once given me everything, and received nothing but abandonment in return. The next morning, I walked into the boardroom of my company, a room lined with glass, leather, and cold ambition. And I resigned. The press called it shocking. Colleagues called it insane. But I did not care. I had built an empire, while destroying a family. Now I wanted to build again, but not with code or capital. With presence. With patience. With purpose. I spent weeks trying to reach Lena. Letters, voicemails, donations to her clinic, anonymously. I did not beg. I did not bribe. I simply waited. And one rainy Sunday, I found a note at my door. 3 words. They ask why. I knew what it meant. They were asking about me. I returned to that same school. Not with roses or promises, but with a sketchbook, filled with letters for each child. Stories of who I was, who I had become, and who I was trying to be. I left it with the school administrator. No name, no grand gesture, just a hope. The next week, I received a drawing, crayon lines, 3 stick figures, 1 tall, 2 small, and the words, "Is this you?" It broke me, and it saved me. I replied with another letter, and so it began, a quiet, slow rhythm of healing. Letters turned into visits, visits into afternoons, afternoons into questions. Why did you leave? Did you love our mother? Do you love us now? I answered every one, with truth, even when it burned. Lena remained distant, polite, but her eyes no longer looked through me. One evening, as I helped our daughter build a cardboard spaceship, Lena stood at the doorway, arms crossed. "You are different," she said. "No," I replied. "I am finally me." She smiled, just a little, and for the first time in years, I felt the warmth of possibility. But healing is not a destination. It is a path, winding, uneven, sacred, and we were still walking it, together, together. Such a simple word, but it felt like a miracle on my tongue. For months, we rebuilt slowly, not as husband and wife, but as 2 people brave enough to face the ruins they left behind. I attended school recitals. I held their hands at the dentist. I read bedtime stories I had once missed, not out of obligation, but out of awe. Each moment was a gift I had once thrown away. Now I treated every laugh, every daddy look, like treasure dug from beneath guilt and regret. Lena kept her distance. She was kind, but cautious. She had learned not to trust easy words or grand apologies. One evening, after the kids had gone to bed, she stood in the kitchen, hands buried in soapy water, her face turned away. "Why now?" she asked. "Why not 5 years ago?" I took a long breath, chose honesty over comfort. Because I was weak. I thought success meant control. And I hated feeling helpless around you. You saw the real me, the scared boy trying to outrun failure. And I punished you for it. She turned to face me, eyes glistening, but not broken. "I was never your enemy," she said. "No," I whispered. "You were my mirror, and I could not bear to see the truth in your eyes." Silence filled the room. Not heavy, but healing. "I do not expect forgiveness," I said, "but I will earn your trust, even if it takes the rest of my life." She looked down, took a towel, dried her hands, then walked past me slowly, her voice barely a murmur. "Start by showing up. Every day. Not just for them, but for you." That night, I sat by the window. The city buzzed below, but I watched the stars instead. I thought about legacy, not the kind printed in magazines, but the kind whispered in the dark, by children falling asleep in safety, the kind measured not by what you leave behind, but by what you hold on to, when life gives you a second chance. And I knew. This was not a story of redemption. Not yet. It was a story of return, of becoming, of love, patient, scarred, and still alive. And just when I thought I had seen the last of life's surprises, Lena walked into the room, holding something small, wrapped in a soft white cloth. She placed it on the table in front of me. Quiet. Delicate. It was the torn pregnancy test. Taped back together. And beneath it, a hospital band with 3 names. My knees gave out. My hands shook. I looked up at her, speechless. Her eyes met mine. I thought you should know their full story, she said. And then. She sat across from me. Her fingers brushed the edge of the hospital band, as if the memories still pulsed beneath the plastic. I kept everything, she said, her voice steady but full of ache. Even when I told myself I hated you. I picked up the torn test, now yellowed with time, its edges soft like a well-worn page in a sacred book. I remember the night I tore this, she whispered. I was holding it in one hand, and your silence in the other. The room felt too small for my guilt, too sacred for excuses. I deserved your silence, I said, but they never did. She nodded, slowly. I tried to erase you, she admitted, but you were always in them. In the way Leo walks like he owns the world. In the way Maya thinks too much before she speaks. And in Noah. God, he even tilts his head the way you do when he is confused. I smiled through the pain. Each word was a wound. Each word was a blessing. I want to know everything, I said. Every scraped knee. Every birthday I missed. Every night they asked for a father. Lena leaned back, folded her arms. But her guard had shifted. Softer. Less like a wall. More like a gate that could open. Then start listening, she said. Not to fix. Not to impress. Just to understand. And so, I listened. She told me about their first steps. How Leo refused to crawl. He wanted to run. How Maya stayed up late asking questions about the stars. How Noah once got lost in a supermarket, but came back with flowers for her. My chest ached with every story. They were my children. But strangers, too. Strangers I had to earn. That night, as I walked to the door, Lena followed me. I do not know what this is, she said. I do not know what we will be. I am not asking for anything, I replied. Just do not shut the door all the way. She paused, then nodded. Barely. And for the first time since the day she left, I knew she had not completely locked me out. Weeks passed. Leo began calling me Dad without flinching. Maya wrote me a letter titled, The Things You Missed. Noah asked if I could stay for Christmas. And Lena. She began to smile when I arrived. Instead of holding her breath. We were not a family yet. But we were no longer broken pieces scattered in different corners of the world. One evening, as I read bedtime stories, Leo stopped me mid-sentence. Dad, he said, did you used to be sad? I looked at him, at his sister and brother, wrapped in blankets, safe and whole. Yes, I said quietly, for a long time. Are you happy now? Maya asked. I looked toward the doorway. Lena stood there, watching, not saying a word. And I answered. I looked toward the doorway. Lena stood there, still silent. But her presence filled the room with something I had long forgotten. Peace. I turned back to my children, their eyes wide, waiting. Yes, I said, my voice steady. I am happy now. Because I finally know what matters. They smiled. And without needing to ask, each one reached out. 3 small hands resting on mine. Lena stepped into the room, walked over to the bed, and for the first time in years, she sat beside me, not across from me, not behind me, beside me. She looked at the children, then at me. They asked me once why I never told them bad things about you, she said. I told them, because one day, he might come back different. And if he does, I want your hearts open, not poisoned. I felt my eyes fill, not with regret, but with reverence. I do not deserve that grace, I whispered. No, she said, you earned it. We sat there in silence. A complete family. Not perfect, but present. And that was everything. As the children drifted to sleep, I turned to Lena and asked, "Can we start again?" She smiled. Soft. Hopeful. We already have. Moral lesson. Life often gives us everything, wealth, power, success. But it means nothing if we lose those who waited for us when we were nothing. Pride can build empires, but only love builds homes. Sometimes, the greatest success is not what we build outside, but what we rebuild within. Forgiveness is not forgetting the pain. It is choosing love over bitterness. It is the courage to heal. Together. So if you have hurt someone, if you still carry guilt, know this. It is never too late to return, to rebuild, to be better. And sometimes, the most powerful words are not "I'm sorry," but "I am here now and I will stay." Thank you for listening to this heartfelt story. If it moved you, share it, comment below, and let someone know. You are never alone.